good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Hello and welcome to Illustrated Insights. My name is Jennidee and this is the very first part, the very first lesson in our Neurodiverse Creative Journal short course. So this is part one of the very first lesson, which is new beginnings. And I thought, what better way to start than to actually make a new journal so that we've got a brand new beginning, new possibilities. What an exciting way to start. So let's get stuck right in and I will show you the process. So I sourced my paper from an old visual arts journal of my daughter's. It was an A3 size journal and I believe it's about 180 GSM. So I just tore those out of the journal, then folded them in half, cut along the fold line, because my journal is actually going to be a quarter of the size of an A3, which I think is A2. So half of the A3, just cutting off that rough edge there. And then folding that in half will give me the signature sizes. Then I put all the signatures together, just folding them up to make a nice little signature bundle. And I have 4 sheets in each signature and 3 signatures. Then I need to create the holes for sewing. I punch those out with an awl. An awl is basically a sharp pointy tool, and all I did was space the holes. There's 7 in total, just to space them evenly in that fold. And here you can see I'm just enlarging those holes a little bit. I just sped it up. Now I'm sewing the signatures together. Please ignore the big knot there. I've sped this up as it's quite a lengthy process. Just sew a running stitch down one signature, turn around, go back the other way. It's called a saddle stitch. I've used a crochet thread here, and you can avoid the knots by not using quite so long a piece, but it had been a while since I'd done any perfect binding, so I chose to use a very long string. That really isn't necessary. You can actually join threads together. At this point, I'm making a knot at the very end of that signature, deliberately this time, and pulling that knot through to the back to start sewing the signatures together. And just while we're watching this sewing process, let's have a little bit of a chat about why it's a good idea to make your own journal. You could use a shop-bought journal, it will work just as well, but when you're making your own journal, you're making something that's completely unique to you and extremely personal. Nobody else will have a journal just like you. I'll just slow this next bit of footage down so that you can see how I'm sewing the signatures together. So I actually go underneath the previous stitch of the previous signature and then back through the new signature. And in doing that, you get a kind of a crisscross. When you don't have a knot, you get a kind of a crisscross through the last stitch of the previous signature. Oh man, those knots. Continue stacking these signatures on top of one another until you have all the signatures you need. I've only used 3. So this is my last signature I'm putting on top now, and I'll speed that up again. Then when I get to the very end of the 3 signatures, I take the tail of my first signature and what's left of the last signature and just make a knot to secure everything in place. Then add some glue over all the signatures, which helps keep the signatures together and also to keep that thread nice and secure. Now onto the cover. I had this quilted, hand-painted piece of fabric, which was around about the right size. So I cut some pieces of hard card, which were just a little bit larger than my signatures, a front, a back, and a spine. And now I'm going to glue them onto the fabric, which will be the cover of my book. I'm going to use other heavy books to weight this while it dries, so I just put some baking paper in between the books and the glue. Then I left that weighted to dry. Wasn't quite 100% dry, but it was sticking nicely. Then I trim around the edges just so that I've got just a small amount around the card. And I'm also cutting a bit of a diagonal across the corners so that when I fold it over, those corners won't be too bulky. Next, I apply the glue to the inside of the card and fold the fabric up over, which will be onto the interior of the book, and I'll leave that weighted to dry again. This process does take quite a lot of glue. It is quite messy. Then once the cover's dry, we need to glue the signatures into the cover. Sometimes you can use end papers on the end of your signatures to do this, but my sketch paper was quite a good weight, so I knew I could just use the very last page of the signature to glue right onto the cover. Again, lots of glue is required and lots of waiting and being patient. Just while we're watching this gluing process, I just need to add a really quick disclaimer. I'm not a therapist or a psychologist. I'm just a teacher who's interested in journals as a creative way to reach and to maintain positive mental health. So you just need to be aware of that. And here it is, all finished. I love how my journal turned out. It's got a beautiful quilted cover which I hand painted earlier, and then all these beautiful blank pages which I can't wait to fill, 10 of which will be double page spreads for the Neurodiverse Creative Journal Course. So this will be my journal that I'll be using through the rest of the 10-week course, and I'll be doing a double page spread for each of the subjects which I have already planned. If you'd like to see what those subjects are, the link is below for the course outline. So I hope to see you in part 2 of New Beginnings.